Now playing the Hook and Bridge podcast.
I fucking love Catch Up. I'm telling you, I'm the worst person to have a podcast. I can barely speak.
Oh my god, I love Green Day!
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Hook and Bridge podcast. I am your host, Harley, joined by my co-host and little sister, Taylor.
Hello.
And everybody, put your hands together. We are so fucking excited about this.
So excited.
I can't tell you how obsessed I am with your band, but we have on the screen Josh, Tucker, Mason, the one and only, the Lucky, joining the show today, everybody. Give it up.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And I mean that sincerely. I am obsessed with your guys' catalog. You're so good. So I have a deep dive on the entire EP. The new EP, Waited Out, is out right now. But first, I want to talk about the little blurb on your website. I think may have changed recently, because I think at one point I went on your website and it said your mom's favorite band or something along that line. And now it says, I have it pulled up here. Give me just a moment. Now it says your new favorite pop band. So what happened to that tagline, or am I mistaking somewhere?
You know, for a while we were going pretty hard on the moms.
It was like,
As you should.
It was just like, given our obviously our demographic that we're aiming for is a big truck. The demographic we're aiming for is, similarly aged people. But because of, life and circumstances, our demographic that we were pulling in was a lot of older women and like our mom's aged people. And so we were just like, yeah, screw it, lean into it.
Yeah, we played the like jokes about MILFs card for a good bit.
Yeah.
I feel like
Really
that was
funny.
a Tucker influence. Something about Tucker screams MILF Hunter.
I think I was the one that wrote the original Your Mom's Favorite Band. I'm not gonna lie.
That's super funny.
So let's talk a little bit about the blurb on your website here, because I'm very curious. It says, take 3 lifelong friends, give them instruments, and put them in the same house for 7 years. So let's talk about this relationship. You guys are lifelong friends?
I mean, adult life for sure. We met freshman year of college. And I think, before freshman year of college, I don't even think I was a real human being. So,
No, that's fair. I've never heard
think-
truer words than that, actually.
right? So once I gained, humanity in freshman year, then we all met each other. And we've been living together since then, pretty much.
So all 3 of you went to the same college?
Yeah.
So all 3 Berkeley?
Bingo.
That's pretty incredible.
We were dorm neighbors. They lived, Tucker and Josh knew each other longer, actually. They met
at a wee 13, 14.
Yeah.
We went to a summer program at Berkeley together called 5-week program. And he was just down the hall. This is the whole, all of us have just met just by being dorm mates, basically.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
that's
like
awesome.
proximity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny too, because like Josh and I hung out like aggressively for 5 weeks and then didn't see each other for like, 3 or 4 more years. And then
Right.
finally it was just like a Facebook message like, do you want to live together when we go to college? And then it was kind of history. I mean, after that, we met Mason and the same kind of relationship formed where we like hung out aggressively for like 3 or 4 weeks. And then we were like, do you want to move in with us?
Yeah.
We actually to prove to our parents that we were old enough and mature enough to do so, we made a PowerPoint describing how we could all live together in an apartment
It was
together.
like why we should live together.
We met in September. We made the PowerPoint in October.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's
I love
so. Did this become like a meeting? Did all of your parents come and you have to sit in like a presentation room and you have your little click button there? Or?
We were working on them separately. You know, every parent wanted different things, so we had to hit all the points separately.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Parents love a PowerPoint.
They do.
They really do.
They really do.
It comes down to facts.
It
Yeah.
knows
It
you.
really does.
It shows that you mean business. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's professional. If we had an Excel sheet, they would have been like, "Oh well,
Yeah.
obviously these guys."
Obviously, you guys should go do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's professional right there.
Yeah.
Did
And
you
then-
present like line graphs to be like, all right, this is year one. This is what we're looking at, and
Yeah, we were like,
pop
this is
into
how
the
much
red.
money we're saving.
Yeah.
The games are really expensive.
Here's a chart of your stress levels, and it was going down.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny. So the new EP is out right now, and I believe Tucker, are you the lyrist?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Mason guitar, right?
Correct.
And then Josh, your production and drums.
That's right.
Okay. I want to talk about the first song, Wait It Out. Let's start with the lyric side first. I don't want to wait it out for good things to come around. I don't want to waste my youth trying to prove something to you. Tucker, let's talk about the depth of the song and who exactly are we saying this to, right?
Yeah.
This is a very interesting one for me.
Yeah, I think when I was writing it, I was feeling like obviously a little bit of like anger and like resentment towards just like trying to be a musician and how like sometimes it's looked down upon like pretty heavily. And I just didn't want to like, I feel like every time I'm trying to justify to people like what I do for a living and like what I want to do for a living, they're like, oh, like that's neat. Like very cool. That's cute. That's a cute side thing. And like I just had this moment where I was like, both to like my parents and like people who kind of talk to me that way that like aren't in the industry, like it was just this kind of like come on guys, like I don't want to wait it out just to like for you guys to see that like what I'm doing is actually like valuable, you know?
Right. That's interesting because I took it as a message to the industry. It felt more like
oh, it partially is for sure.
Yeah, it felt more like hey, I'm trying to prove. I don't want to prove to you that I'm worth it. Like I know I'm worth it. So
yeah,
that's
I mean like
kind of how I took it.
That's like a big piece of like I think what we've felt the last like few years too is just it's frustrating to kind of have to like prove yourself every time you're releasing music that you actually are like a musician. And I think that's the age of, you know, the internet. Everyone can be a musician nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Mason coming in with like the melodies and specifically going from, I believe it's on this track, the acoustic guitar into like this punchy, almost like jazzy, more distorted guitar.
Mhm.
What was kind of the influence you were going for on, are you trying to do more of a pop thing or push more towards like that metal side?
I think with this one, we were working with our buddy Michael Danaeff, who's a very good producer. And he does a very good job with like pop and almost like hip hop production, you know? And so I think just working with him, we were just kind of leaning into what he was pulling up and what I just had available to me in that room at the time, just kind of lent itself to what we have, you know? Like I just had a guitar and he had this like dinky little acoustic. And so we're just like, that's what we're using. This is what we have. That's what we're going to do. And then that's just what happened.
That's interesting. So the tonality choices, what were some of the tones you guys had available? Was that mainly plugins or was that
I
like,
think
hardwired to, like,
writing
pedals?
day, it was pretty much like correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but it was like DI electric with
Like
maybe like some sort of amp on it as a program. But then obviously after the day one, we took it back and we have like like a Kemper amp modeler, and we redid all the tones through that and like re-recorded the acoustics nicer and stuff. But I think we wrote to what we had at the time, and so we didn't want to like change it after the fact, you know.
Right.
It just fit and it sat really well. It's nice.
Speaking of like the hip hop influence, Josh,
Yeah.
your drumming is very hip hop oriented, at least on this particular EP. Is that something that you've always kind of leaned more towards?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the references, funny enough, was like almost what would you call that? I guess like early like 90s R&B hip hop. So you know, you're doing that boom, cut, like those kind of like breakbeat style things. And that, I think we had a loop in there that was like that at the very beginning. And you know, we were working with Michael Deneff on it, and I was lucky enough to co-produce with him on this. And yeah, he brought like a lot of elements that maybe without him, it might just be a pop punk song. You know, it might just be you know, more punk or metal influenced. And
Right.
we kind of like melded these two things together where you know, there is kind of like this interesting sway in the verses, and then it's kind of big open rock song in the chorus. And that was kind of fun to kind of like figure out and like put guitars, put like live drums on that, and see where those two worlds kind of meet. But that was a lot of fun working with Michael.
And honestly, I think historically, some of the greatest rock bands of all time, the drummers have had more of an R&B influence. Dave Grohl came into Nirvana late in the game with more of like that hip hoppy, like 60s funk. So I think it's really cool to have that influence in a rock album, just because of the production value that it can bring. So we all three went to Berkeley. Let's talk about some of our majors, right? College is a huge part of your life at this point. So let's just go around the room. I never graduated college. Taylor graduated with a science, physical science degree. I don't know. She's like a doctor or something.
I'm not a doctor. I'm close. It's exercise science.
Exercise science. There we go.
There you go. You're so close. You're there.
So let's start with you, Tucker. What was like your major in college, and how did that influence going into this project?
Yeah, I loved school. That's like, I was really nerdy about it. I initially went in thinking I was just going to do like a performance degree, but when I got to Berkeley, I realized that wasn't really going to do anything for me with like what I wanted to do. So I ended up switching to like a focus on contemporary writing and production and songwriting. I technically have like a emphasis in music business too.
Okay.
Yeah, but all of that is called professional music. So every time I tell someone my degree
at music.
Yeah, every time I tell someone my degree, I'm like, it sounds way like cockier than it is. I just studied music.
All right. So how about you, Josh?
I did Berkeley has this kind of school within a school called we call it MP&E, or music production and engineering. And that's like studio classes, you know, like you're getting trained on getting certified on different boards to be able to kind of like go into a studio. I didn't really use that degree per se, but I think it definitely set me up for like, you know, what we're doing in the role that I ended up playing in the band as a producer. And honestly, it was a lot of fun. I think Berkeley can be really cool for different things, and they give you a lot of resources. So that was really fun.
There's so much history at Berkeley, right? I mean, you guys went to what for me was like the prestigious ultimate goal as a musician. Like in high school, you're like, I'm gonna go to Berkeley. I'm gonna do everything I can to get into Berkeley. The history is amazing, and the musicians that have come out of there have been incredible. So yeah, it's an honor to get to go there. Mason, there's a little more information online about you. Sorry guys, that's just the nature of the internet. From what I understand, so what I understand, you actually went to Berkeley just because you didn't want to play like football and stuff?
No, I started playing music when I was a kid because I didn't want to do like karate anymore or baseball. I was just sick of having to leave my house and do physical activity. So, and my mom was like, "You have to do something." So I was like, "I'll do guitar." And I played for a while, but I was never like super like into it, you know? I was just
Okay.
kind of like, this is, I'm also doing this. Like I wasn't like I would do my lessons and it was always fun when I was in the mix, but I was like, I never practiced. And my guitar teachers come over and get so mad at me because I would just never practice and all this stuff. But I also went to the Berkeley 5-week program a year after they did, and I was like, wow, like if I did this for like college, like this would be so sick. So I kind of like kicked it up a notch in that last year, and I was like, like I was still like not even sure like what I wanted to do in life, but I was like, I'll apply to Berkeley, and if I get in, like that's like then I'm like good enough to do it, and I'm good enough to keep going. So it
Right.
was just kind of riding on that, and then that's why I applied. Is because I was like, this would be hella fun for for college.
So what
No
did
more
you
like
end up
real homework.
majoring in?
I also did the pro music major, but I just did songwriting and business.
Okay.
It's kind of like a make your own. So I just didn't want to like take a bunch of classes that I didn't think would be very beneficial to my life,
Right.
like so I just stuck to what would actually help me right now and in the immediate future, and then that's what we ended up doing. So
Hell yeah. So let's talk about speaking of playing guitar, the guitar solo on Temporary. Truly, I mean, the last 30 seconds come in hard on that song. So your guitar teachers obviously influenced your playing style, but there are specific things that you do on the guitar that are a clear indication of your history as a musician. What were the influences that you had coming up with that solo, and just in general on the guitar? Like, what are some of your musical influences?
I think in that one specifically, maybe like a little band Camino-ish,
Okay.
like some early try hard band Camino. I've always listened to like Pink Floyd growing up, so that's in there somewhere.
I literally was just going to say David Gilmour was the influence that I heard on that. So yeah, you beat me right to it.
I feel like I can't get away from that. I feel like that was like
That's
the
too
first guitar I listened to was like, oh, like this guy's good.
Yeah.
you know.
I'm a guitar player too, so I understand.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was mostly just those guys, and then it was me and Josh and I think Tucker was there, and we were just like, I think it was like a couple takes of like what did we want to do, and it just kind of like happened pretty naturally, and then we just try to refine it over a few takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the EP as a whole, I think that I could be mistaken, but I think that's like the only true guitar solo on the EP, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the EP as a whole is such an eclectic like combination of the three of you. Tucker, vocally, what are you going for? What are some of your influences? Because you come in with some, I would say, Chainsmoker-esque vocal range. Like you have this very like specific pop, like this really like melancholiness about you. I also would say like Phineas. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Yeah.
So like let's talk about some of your vocal influence.
Yeah, this is gonna get so weird because like growing up, what I listened to was like what some might consider like pretty garbage music nowadays. Like my first CD was like Aaron Carter.
Okay.
Anyone? The I Want Candy Kid.
Oh yeah. You
then,
mean
like,
the guy that played guitar naked on a website for a while?
Yeah.
Did he do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was like my first CD, and I listened to like a ton, and I mean a ton of like soft rock in like the like early 2000s. So like radio music was like pretty popular for me.
Mhm.
And then, you know, I feel like when I actually was like really, really influenced by like style and stuff, I think of like really good songwriters. Like I'm not really thinking of like, oh, I want to write like this pop song for like this band or anything like that. Like I kind of just think of like lyrically how to tell a story, and I've tried to incorporate that more into like the stuff that we're doing now. But I feel like on this EP it was just like I don't even know what I would say influenced this EP. It's like it's pretty hard to nail down like what I was listening to at the time and like what inspired me.
Right. Well, I honestly, I think that, and I'm really happy that we caught you at such an early time in your career, but I think you guys are going to be massive. Like you just have a combination of just the right things at the right time. You know what I mean? You're putting out an EP that hits every earworm that I'm looking for, you know? It's different enough that it doesn't like get into the mix, but it's familiar enough in the scene that like I said, you have this influence of like Phineas and the Chainsmokers and like Three Doors Down. I think that like vocally you're right where we want music right now. You know what I mean? It's going to stand out, and
Thank
I
you.
think it's very difficult to try and like narrow down an influence. But um, I do want to talk about what I would consider to be like the hit on the EP, "Never Loved You." Um, I will be honest, it's not on the EP. It's not my favorite. I think that is a fantastic song. Don't get me wrong, but Wait It Out to me is like the standout track for me. But Never Loved You is a really like poppy and I think interestingly enough with your influence of like radio heavy music, I think that that's definitely heard in here. And then with your influence of like more heavier rock music, you can definitely hear that in the punchy chorus. The production side, I definitely want to talk about like, and get not positive here. I don't know if this was you or if it was the producer that you were working with, but who kind of was behind the board on this track?
This was a mix of both of us, but this was also a co-production with Michael. Both Waited Out and Never Loved You were both a co-production, and we kind of had this idea at the beginning, like when we went into this session with Michael, we had this idea. I think Tucker had the idea of having a song that had highs and lows in the sense of something that was like bashing and then immediately switched to just acoustic, and having that be in the chorus, in the hook. And so that's kind of what that song was based off of, is just kind of like that thrashing, like quarter note hits thing, and then immediately dropping down to a small section and then going back and forth between it. And that was sort of the production style of it. Again, it kind of has that like pop, hip hop little sway to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely leaned into it a lot more than a lot of the other tracks. So I definitely think it's more of the pop hit,
Right.
off of the album.
It's very quick too, right? I think we're clocking in at like 2.5 minutes roughly.
Yeah.
It's a quick one. There's a line in here, Tucker, that I definitely want to talk about. You're going on dates wearing my clothes. So let's kind of talk about the writing process on this particular track. What does that line mean for you specifically?
I think that line specifically is just like the fact that someone can care so little about you and to like wear the clothes that you left at their house on another date. Like that's just the ultimate fuck you, you know?
Right.
Like they're wearing your sweatshirt, but like going out and meeting new people.
Tucker, who hurt you?
I don't
Like, are
know.
you okay?
This is so funny. Everyone asks, they're like, your music is like so sad. Like, who hurt you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just pulling it from everywhere, you know?
Everyone.
Like everything is influenced by
Everyone.
something, obviously. A lot of times, like with this song, like I came in with the idea of the title and then the second line. So like, I wish that I never loved you, because I don't know how not to. And like the whole concept for me was like, I want it to be like, shout the first line, and then the second line is like internal dialogue. And then like third line is shout, fourth line is internal dialogue. That's why I wanted to do that like high and low thing that Josh was talking about.
Yeah, and then like so the story here is like that's exactly like the biggest fuck you. I like that you have like that moment in the song where you're talking about bringing a box of stuff that they didn't even ask for. You know what I mean? You're going back just because you want to, and they're not asking you to bring any of it back. And then you go, and then you're like, oh, that's that shirt that I left here. Could I have that? And they're like, oh no, I'm actually going out with Tucker. You know?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, man. I really enjoyed that line specifically. Just kind of stood out to me. Let's talk about shadow boxing. That's gonna be that's like the hidden gem
It's
on
definitely
the
a
album.
secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try and break down lyrically on that one. Tucker, what do we got going on here? Again, yeah, it's a very sad album, but I think it tells a really beautiful story though, like throughout. So
Yeah, guys, so this is such a complex, like lyrically written song. Even if you listen to like my own like solo stuff, it sits in this world of just like very internal dialogue. I feel like, and the guys are gonna say the same thing. If we were like in an interview, they'd be like, "Oh, that's so true." I just deal with a lot of stuff internally, so when like I feel like this song is just talking about all of that internal like turmoil that I feel like I deal with on like a daily basis, and it's how it's kind of just like every day kind of feels like a me versus me thing, and sometimes it's for like other people's benefit because I'm making art out of that.
mm-hmm. I felt when I listened to it that it was somebody going through depression and like their cry for help. Somebody like kind of going through that, like you're talking, kind of beating yourself up, or like the whole term shadow boxing, right? Like shadow boxing by yourself about something that may or may not happen, right? This internal like, well, if this does happen, well, this is what I'm gonna do, you know? So like I felt like it was expressing that in a way to say like I need help, you know?
Yeah.
It's a very, very beautiful track. It's a very slow one on the album, and production wise, I felt like you guys were kind of going for almost like a 9 Inch Nails thing. Josh, am I wrong?
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely more emo, you know, or like more, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, it has this kind of minor guitar,
like darkness to it.
Yeah. It was a weird one on production, because the concept is so strong that the production had to support it in such a way that you know, didn't take anything away from the vocal, but also kind of lifted it up and allowed you to hear the vocal even more. And that was just like a hard thing to nail down. And I think that one for sure sat with us for a while, just like, how are we going to finish the song kind of thing.
Right.
Even though it was basically done. And near the end of it, it was just, and I'll tell you what the song means for me too. Like for me, and this is why it was kind of important for me. It was just like the idea of shadow boxing for me kind of drew back to this feeling of like, obviously we're all, you know, from other states. You know, we moved out to LA. We're trying to make this thing happen. And, you know, when you move, especially from me, like I came from a town of like maybe 10,000 people. And it's like, you know, all these people are kind of watching you go out to LA, try to make this thing happen. And it kind of feels like you're in the ring, you know, and all these people are kind of watching you, whether or not you're going to fail or whether or not you're going to succeed. And I think on the production side, like I was sitting there like scrubbing through like old radio of like a 1919 fight, a Dempsey fight, and I'm like trying to find like meaning in just the announcer. I'm like putting that stuff in the song, but yeah, it was just about how do we uplift that like inner meaning and allow the song to speak for itself. So.
And Mason, that's kind of where you come in with like this stripped back guitar, right? I assume that you came in and heard the song and the lyrics and kind of crafted like a much darker side to your playing as well.
Yeah, we actually one of the things that I think we just tend to do in general is like whenever we write, we're all there at like the same time. So like I think the guitar might have even come in like before the lyrics came in, you know? I just think we were like, yeah, we're writing some sad shit. Like let's do it. But I do love, I will say like this is, I very rarely pat myself on the back, but that like chorus, you know, kind of down section, the refrain is one of my favorite things that I've ever written, like for myself, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I'm like, oh, I wish I wrote something like that. And then I did that time, so it felt good.
Oh yeah.
I remember Josh like sent me the recording too, like once he had put in the ending track in where it's like, he has to fight even though he has nothing left to fight with. And I was like, dude, you nailed it. Like, nailed, because that last line is like, I wish I could throw this. And I think it leaves it with that, like, I want to give up, but I can't kind of thing. And I think that little like blurb, it just has something uplifting to it that I think really, really drove it home.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where that mindset of like dealing with depression and why I think this song is a cry for help is literally that last section of like, I want to throw this. I want to give this up, but I know that I have to be strong enough to carry on, but I need somebody to acknowledge that I'm like at the end, like at my wit's end here, you know? So obviously the darkest track on the album. Tucker, you're a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a moment.
That was such a random segue.
I like it.
Well, hey, man,
I like how hard it was.
You're like, oh, by the way, this was really sad. Tattoos?
Yeah, you know, I'm just trying to lighten the mood.
So it's honestly like I can tie it in. You ready?
I'm ready.
I have this thing where I want to cover my body in like words because I think the concept of like having tattoos that have like words all over them, so like poetry mixed with images, is really cool. And so I've been combining that with visual art, and that like collaboration is just really cool. And I didn't think it could happen, but I was designing things with my girlfriend, who is also a tattoo artist, and we would tattoo me with those designs. And like a couple of them like blew up on her page. So I was like, okay, well, I should do this then. Because like, if those designs are doing well and people like that style, like I don't see why not, you know?
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Taylor and I have an extensive background in the art of tattoos.
Tattoos, yes.
Oh, okay.
My dad, her dad, our dad.
Our dad. I would say it's both of ours.
Has been a tattoo artist our entire lives.
Whole life. Yep.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I worked in his shop. That was like my first real job from like 15 to 17. And it's a different experience, man. Just doing tattoos in general, it's not what people think. That it's not as simple as just tracing a line. Like there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
I would never do that. I don't have the hands.
No, playing the guitar not nearly as intricate as using a needle on somebody's hand or on somebody's arm.
Yeah,
it's so true.
Taylor, I know you have a question that you wanted to get to, and then we're gonna get ready to play this game, guys.
All right.
Hang on, guys. I forgot my question. I'm sorry. Stand by. I didn't. Harley has his written down. He has like a double screen situation. and I do not right now. So
We're not nervous at all, I swear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Harley, cut this
we do
part out.
this-
Cut this part out, Harley.
You got it. You got it.
we do this all the time.
Um,
So I want to know where each of your passions for music comes from. You know what I mean? And I know that we've touched on this about where the songs come from, but in your like earliest of days, when did you decide that music is what you wanted to do and when you wanted to take it seriously?
Who wants
That's
to
a
start?
good question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
who
I,
wants-
mean,
yeah.
I would say for me, it kind of started. When I was around 12, 13, I was in my hometown, and I just started, as you do when you're starting to learn an instrument. You just like find other people who are playing instruments, and by around 15, I started being in bands, like playing. I was in like the kind of Providence punk scene at the time, and like I was dragging my mom to dive bars at the age of 13, like trying to talk to the promoter to let me in, that kind of stuff. I was just like in and out of bands, and then I started recording other bands, and I was like, I mean, I can't really do anything else, so this is for sure. Like, and I love doing this, so why can't I make a career out of this? And my parents were honestly just really supportive. They saw like, you know, I clearly didn't care about my schoolwork, but I could do this really well, and I clearly cared about that. And it all started because they bought me Rock Band one Christmas.
Hell
Honestly,
yeah.
and I just, for some reason, everybody else wanted to play the guitars, and I just want to play the drums. So,
Same.
but yeah, it just kind of snowballed, and it was just, it was my whole life. It turned into everything that I did.
Oh, that's awesome.
To add on to that funny story, the main reason I feel like Josh is joined this project is because Tucker and I didn't know anyone who could like record shit, like it wasn't like we didn't want Josh in there because Josh was already in this like punk band that was doing well, and we were like, oh, we're not going to be able to get Josh, but let's see if he'll record a song for us.
Yeah.
All right, who wants
I'll
to
go
next?
next.
I was gonna say,
I
anyone
guess
else?
I'll go next.
Don't let everybody talk at once.
I forgot where you're going with. So I think mine kind of came from like experience,
Mhm.
my dad does music, and I was, growing up and kind of like following him around every now and then, and like summers as like my vacation was going to his work. And I'd never saw another job where you can just have that much fun and be with your best friends, and like and there's this lack of seriousness, but like everyone was so like in love with what they were doing, and I was just like, whatever I can do to get to be a part of this world, I will do. And that's kind of where,
Mhm.
so like even now to this day, I'm just like, how can we get this to where we can like only do this for our lives?
Mhm. And
Yeah.
do you feel growing up in that situation, not that it would be easier, but because you know how it works? You know what I mean? Does that feel easier? You're like, I have grown up in this. I've seen this done so many times that I can just go ahead and do it.
Not so much. I thought it would be easier because when I was introduced to it, it was already there, Like I
Yeah.
didn't see any of the come up, I didn't see any of the work.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
that part is like new, and that's my experience, and that's, whatever I'm experiencing firsthand is what I know of that. But it was more reassuring just in the sense of like A, I know it's possible because somebody I know did it, and B, it's like I just feel like I'm not going out on a complete blind limb,
Yeah.
Like I feel like I have a sense of what I'm getting myself into,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, that's what I'm going for. I already know the goal, and I'm
Mhm.
just going for that.
Alrighty, Tucker, that leaves you.
Yeah, I can't tell you like an exact time where it happened, like where I was like, oh, I know for a fact this is gonna be like the thing I do at the well, there's one moment, but like my parents knew I was gonna do music since I was like a kid. I think they really hated the fact initially, probably because like I'm 4 years old, like belting, and they're like, oh god, and like it never stopped. And I remember being like 9 or 10, and they put me in a traveling children's choir. And that was the moment where I knew I was gonna like do music for the rest of my life, because there was a first rehearsal, and there's like 80 kids in this room, and like all of us are gonna do this like basically on a professional level, like because we're gonna go to Europe and sing. So like we're doing it at a relatively professional level. And I remember like didn't know how to read music, but I could sing. So they were like, all right, let's all sing together. And I remember the first time that like we locked in on like a song, and like everything started blending like perfectly, and like everything was in tune. And I was like, oh my God, like you can make incredible things with like people around you.
Right.
And I remember that being the exact moment that I was like, well, I'm not going to do anything else. Like I can't, because you can just, the feeling you get from like making music with like your friends specifically, like I think that's what makes this project so exciting for me personally, is like the fact that I get to do it with other people is just like the best.
Right. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, those were really great answers.
So I know that we are running a little late, but
Let's do it.
so this is the game, and we usually have names for these games, but I haven't had a chance to come up with one for this yet. So here's the gist of what we're doing today. I have changed album covers, and Taylor's not going to compete. It's just going to be you three. Your job is going to be to figure out what band or album, if you want extra credit, this is. There are several of these. Let's go ahead and see if I can make this a little bigger for you guys. There we go. All right. So this is the first one. Anybody have any ideas?
This is an album now?
This is an album. They span across all genres of music.
Okay.
This is not what it's supposed to look like. I have personally went in and changed this album.
Gotcha.
Did you do this?
I was gonna say this is the craziest album cover I've ever seen.
It's definitely, yeah. I went in and edited all of these.
You can see that.
It looks like one of the One Direction members, and then like
I know, that's what I was getting too.
That's what I was seeing as well. But hold on, they look like babies.
well, they're children.
Yes, this
Naked
is
Brother
not,
Band.
Oh,
this is
goodness.
not the original picture.
This way. Hold on, I can do this.
Reverse image search.
But it's not the
Nothing
same
pops
title
up.
either, right?
Right. Yes. All of this has completely changed.
This way. 4. That's a
I don't
great.
think it is.
This is hard.
This
I
is
know
a-
I'm not playing, and I'm glad because this is hard.
This is one of my favorite things that we've
I
done
know.
on this show. I love
Yeah.
doing this.
It's
I don't know
really
if I-
fun.
Band.
We'll
The
take a
first time
hint.
you did it though was easy. This is hard.
Any guess at all?
They're gonna take a hint.
The hint is somebody has already said the band.
Oh,
Oh,
it's One
is it-
Direction for sure. Right?
It is One Direction.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
there you go.
so funny.
Oh, that was really good, actually.
That was good.
I'm telling you, I got the far right when I was like, it's got to be One Direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a crazy
really
edit, by the way. I was like, they're babies.
They're literal
Alright.
infants.
All right. So
Okay.
this is the next one. Here.
This is the Fray.
I
Oh,
also was
man,
thinking the
you
Fray.
This is
crushed
the Fray.
that.
Huh?
You crushed that so
Yeah,
fast.
no, we love the Fray.
We
You
love our.
found me. You
I
found
love it.
me.
This specific album is one of the most underrated albums in history. This
Fantastic.
album is so fucking good.
Yeah, dude. The Fray has done no wrong. They're so
Agreed.
good.
All right. So yeah.
All right.
this
I
is
just
the-
whipped that one out. Sorry.
Wow.
Great editing on that, buddy.
That
Yeah,
was good. Yeah,
That
that was
one
really
looked
good.
legit.
Lana.
That's
Oh,
Lana
that's
Del
Lana.
Rey.
Lana Del Rey.
That's our girl Lana.
Okay. She's not bad. I prefer her covers that she's done. I think her covers are incredible,
It's-
but this
it's-
album is iconic.
Yeah.
You guys are rolling through these.
Weezer.
Woo!
Uh,
I can't believe we didn't get 1D too. That's awful.
I can't
I
believe
know. I
how.
love that One Direction took us the longest.
Yeah, right.
I also like your fake title too, Inhaler.
Inhaler yeah, with the cats. I was pretty proud of that one.
That's
That
that
good.
was really funny.
That's really good.
All right, let's see here. Oh.
Guitar dog.
Guitar dog.
This is
This is an iconic album. This album
know.
is I would say legendary.
I know this album,
This,
which is crazy because normally I don't.
It's
What
so
does it
funny.
say to the right and left of Guitar Dog?
It doesn't say anything anymore. There were words there,
Okay.
but I kind of scrubbed them a little bit so that you couldn't read them.
Got it. Okay.
It's so funny seeing your edit because the whole image looks so familiar in my head.
Oh,
but
yeah.
No.
Yeah,
if you
that's the
just
goal,
close
is
your
I just-
eyes, you
Yep.
can picture
I
the
feel like I
album.
just squint at it.
Yeah, I just change it enough to where it's like that
Yeah.
looks familiar, but I'm not really
It's like
sure.
all like it's like triggering in my brain. Like all the
Mhm.
colors look correct. But it's like not it, and it's, it's
Yeah.
yeah, this is a good game.
It's a
Is it
it's
like
a
a
classic rock band, right?
yeah? Is it like
Yeah.
a Led
Yeah.
Zeppelin?
Yeah, I thought it was like
Surprisingly close.
So close.
it's not Led Zeppelin. Is it Van Halen?
It is
Van Halen. That's what it is.
1984.
Woo!
Yeah.
Right
Which
when you
is why
said
I
it,
had
I was
to
like,
scrub the
"That's
word.
what
There
it
it
is."
is.
Yep.
There it
Yeah.
is.
That's so
That's
funny.
it.
That's the album cover.
That's
I was like,
hilarious.
what is that?
This
That's really funny.
Sync boys.
Is it Backstreet Boys?
You're so close.
Oh, it's Insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
Stink boys.
I was just looking at the pictures.
Oh.
I was like, it's got to be one of the two.
It is one of the
beards
two
are
boy bands.
crazy.
That's really funny.
The beard on all of them is just really solid.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right? All right. So there we go.
Oh, Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
Iconic.
Pink Floyd.
Easy.
Dark Side of the
Dark
Moon.
Side of the Moon.
Just had their 50th anniversary.
That's
Yep.
that's in my top 3 of all time. I'm not missing that one.
I own 4 copies of this record on vinyl. I have,
It was almost 5. I
Just
haven't
in
gotten out of
case.
it.
well, I have the original UK pressing. I have the first US pressing, and then I have the repressed back in 2014, and then the 50th anniversary one that just
So
came
you're
out.
super into vinyl. You're like a real one.
Oh yeah. I love collecting vinyl. Yeah, and I'm just a giant Floyd fan.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
This is T Swift.
It is T
Yeah.
Yeah,
Swift.
it is.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It was the Polaroid frame.
yeah.
He's embedded in
All
our
right.
I know that was what it was for me. I was like, oh, the Polaroid. Who is it?
Yep.
Taking her
So this-
completely out of the picture is so funny too. Just having it be a couple birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that you guys know,
That
Yeah.
that shows
That's
how
what
I'm never
how amazing she is, right?
I'm never gonna
He's a
beat the
banger of an
Swifty
album.
allegations.
So this next one, I had spoke with my wife and had her run through all of these before we started the show, just to make sure they weren't too hard.
Mhm.
And this next one, she said, "Are you sure you want to throw that on there?" So I hope it goes great. We're gonna
Take a
Let
look.
it fly.
I
Oh,
wonder.
That's good.
Uh,
Mason,
That's
go ahead.
really funny.
Hilarious.
Counting Crows.
Creed.
Oh man!
Creed.
Mhm.
That was good stuff.
Mhm.
That's
All
crazy.
right.
That's crazy with the disguise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted it to be like super, like not super edited, you know.
Yeah.
I pride myself. Hot Wheels 10, man. That's a funny
good.
ass name.
That's good.
That's a
really
good. That's a
funny.
good
Hot
name.
Wheels 10.
All right, and then we got one more.
All right.
Hell
The
yeah.
silhouettes are crazy. That's actually sick. We should have done that in the first
We
place.
should have done that.
Yeah, that's way.
That looks like you, Tucker.
It does look like me.
Yeah.
I wish that looked like me. That looks more like Travis Barker.
I look like Amin.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And obviously, this is the Lucky Waited Out, the new EP out right now. Guys, you crushed that game. This went way faster than I was expecting. I thought Weezer was gonna get you.
We're just big nerds.
I spent so much time adding cats to that.
If you changed it from that shade of blue to green, you might have lost me.
Oh, dude, I would have been like,
Oh, you're so
I would have
right.
been
No
I would've
clue.
been like,
I would have
Brad
said I have no idea what band that is.
Yeah.
All right. So the band, The Lucky, gonna be legends someday, you guys. I can't tell you enough how incredible I think that your music is. You guys have something special here.
I appreciate that.
It's out right now for everybody. Go check it out. Wait it out. And you guys have a couple of singles out there too. So not to get too sentimental here. And this is going to be a little much for you, but
are you gonna trauma dump on them?
No.
Okay.
I'm ready.
No, but
Let's hear it.
17 years ago, my dad introduced me to your dad's music, specifically that album. And it's literally the reason that I picked up a guitar. So I think that it's so cool to be able to be in the beginning stages of what you guys are doing here, and hopefully, down the line, show my son your guys' album. And I think that's so cool to kind of full circle all of that. And truly, I think you guys have something special. And I hope that 15, 17 years from now, we can do this again and just talk about how amazing the journey has been.
Right.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's
funny.
awesome.
That's very sweet.
Actually means so much.
We're excited for that.
All right. So what are we going to promote? I know that you guys have got to have something in the works, right? You guys got dates coming up? 2025?
We got lots of stuff. Are we allowed to talk about stuff?
I'll say that we will announce 2025 dates at another date. But but just keep everyone keep their eyes peeled for new music, some new live shows. I think we're gonna try to hit 2025, harder than the year before, and hope stay along for the
There's
ride.
definitely gonna be new music in the new year.
Oh
Let's just
yeah,
be
for
clear.
sure.
Yeah, I definitely need more. The EP is a nice little tease, but definitely need more. I hope that we can expect a full album out this year. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank
This
you.
has
Yeah,
been
thank you.
So much fun.
incredible. You guys are welcome back anytime.
Please have us back. The games
Yeah,
are so
thank you.
fun. Please,
Yeah, that was great.
Please
Yeah.
play a game with us again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring some for you.
Yeah, we bring our own game. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Yes.
that
Can
would
we do
be awesome.
PowerPoints?
No one has done that. You guys should do a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
On it.
I want a PowerPoint.
We're doing a PowerPoint.
We
I'm
need
throwing
to-
in transitions.
The
Yeah.
time that we've
Yeah.
spent away, what we've been up to. It's
Yeah.
gonna have to close.
Exactly. Oh, that would be
Why
awesome.
you should listen to us, the PowerPoint.
Yes.
I love
And make it a whole hour too.
Oh
And
yeah.
each one of you
Oh,
have a
God.
I'll buy a
Yeah,
laser
man.
pointer for this.
Yes.
Oh, a laser pointer. I was thinking I'm gonna get one of those big like flip boards, one
Yeah.
of those like dry erase flip boards.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a whole thing. I'll wear a suit.
Oh
We'll
yeah,
make it- we'll make a
100%.
whole
Oh
thing
yeah.
out of it.
I'll get the clicker, the
Yes.
clicker that you stand on the other side and you click it from
I'll
afar.
hire people to be sharks. We'll do a whole thing.
This is great.
I love it.
All right, guys. Drive safe, Mason and Tucker, Josh. Thank you so much for coming on,
thank you,
and
guys.
I
Thank
hope
you.
you guys have a great rest of your year. And please come back anytime.
We will.
We'll
Thank
do.
Hell yeah!
We'll
All
be
right, see you
around.
guys.
Oh, and then there were
Ooh.
2. Wow, how fun.
Do you want us to leave or do you want to finish the story?
You can do what you want. I don't
Leave
care.
this in.
I've got nothing to do.
Take
You're
this out,
grown
Harley.
man.
Take this out. Take this out. Oh, you can keep it in.
All right.
Bye,
man.
guys. It was nice
Yeah,
to meet you.
yeah, drive safe.
Thank you.
All
All
right.
right, everybody. If you like today's show, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell notification so you can be notified every time we post a new video.
And as always, we got the Instagram and all of that good stuff. Go check it out. And yeah, this has been crazy. Sorry to get so sentimental there at the end.
No, it was really sweet. I really loved it.
Yeah.
I think it was perfect. I don't think it was too overbearing. And I think that you held in your fangirl very well. And I'm
I
really
did my
proud of you.
best.
I'm really proud of you. No, I think it was great, and they're a great band.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they have their wonderful accomplishments to talk about, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, it has been real, everybody, and peace.